So I know I'm late to the party here, but I finally have watched Inside Out 2, and I'm going to give you guys my full thoughts on this movie. I've actually been super excited to see what they could do for another Inside Out movie. There's so many more concepts you can expand with this franchise, and well, how did this movie turn out? So let's get started off with my full thoughts on this movie. So beginning here with the story here, the story is actually very similar to the first Inside Out. We have two contrasting stories that seamlessly come together at moments in the film. The first story is about anxiety making a new sense of self for Riley so that she can have a better future. And the other one is the other four emotions: anger, fear, disgust, and joy are all trying to get back to headquarters while sadness is on her own adventure. And these two stories are absolutely amazing when they combine together. Like before, these two contrasting stories seem kind of polar opposite, but when they mix together, they feel seamless and they feel perfectly connected. I love that about Inside Out, is that they can always have these contrasting, really interesting stories, but they can also, but when they come together, it feels very natural, which I love. This movie also has a very complex message that really makes you understand yourselves a lot more. If you ever had a problem with your flaws or something about you, well, this movie kind of just tells you that it's okay, your flaws are okay, and that makes you who you are, and that you need to embrace it. And I loved that message. And there's some emotional, gut punching beats in this movie that were really, really powerful at times, and I really, really loved it. The emotional moments aren't as emotional as the first movie, I will say, but they get close. There's one line Joy says in the movie, I won't spoil, that almost made me cry, and I absolutely loved it. The story here, again, is just phenomenal. Is it as good as the first movie's story? It gets close. The only reason why it's not as good is because, well, it has a bit of a rehash to the story at times, but other than that, they explore a lot more different concepts in Riley's mind, like the sarcasm, the stream of consciousness, the brainstorm, and many, many more. The creativity here is so good, and I loved everything that they did in this movie. And the story definitely is always a top priority for Pixar. And well, with this movie, it seems to be no different. So now we're going to move into the animation here. Now, for Pixar movies, this is no real shocker, but their animation is absolutely stunning. Personally, some of my favorite looking Pixar films are the original Inside Out, Toy Story 4, and Lightyear, and Soul. I'll give Soul that as well because of the realism and the certain stuff that they do with the animation is so beautiful and creative. Like Toy Story 4 has very detailed animation, and then all the rest of the movies still have very detailed animation but also have beautiful realism. And with Inside Out 2, it's no different. Inside Riley's world, inside it's just kind of like the real world where the colors are more muted and more down to earth. While inside of Riley's head and some of the other characters' head, that's where it looks a lot more like a cartoon, where you see a lot of the characters are made basically based up out of shapes. Their look makes them look like they're made out of particles, which I absolutely love and makes them look stunning. And the colors pop out and are so much more bolder than before. And yeah, they did say that they redid all the characters' designs, and I actually think that they look a little better than before because I love how they made the colors pop out. And not just with the characters as well, but the world building or the views that we get of headquarters is just beautiful and stunning, and it looks grand and epic at times. I also love what they did with certain scenes, like with the brainstorm, with the green clouds, or stream of consciousness, with the like weird pink purple outline on the river, which I thought was really, really cool. There's so much creativity that they do as well, not with just 3D animation, but they experiment with 2D animation as well, with characters like Bluefy, who's 2D animated, and then we have Lance Slashblade, who is a pixelated PS2 video game character, and I believe Deep Dark Secret is stop motion, but I'm not sure. But those two contrasting styles really blended beautifully together, and they don't stop using that style. I mean, it still goes on for just a tiny bit of the movie, and there's a certain character that does come back that has that same 2D art style that just makes the movie look more stunning and looks gorgeous at times. The animation here is just great and it's beautiful and everything like you can see all the characters' detail, even their hair, which is meant to look like particles as well. But also in the real world, I also really love the hockey scenes in this movie as well. They're very dynamic and how the camera moves is very, really nice. And I believe they use digital cameras to create some of these scenes, which is just crazy to me. They built these entire sets and then they use digital cameras, which just mind blows me. That was crazy. But the animation here, like other Pixar films, is still absolutely stunning, and I believe I can say that they have outdone themselves here. So yeah, we're gonna move into the characters now of this movie. The first Inside Out has such memorable and lovable characters. I mean, other than Joy because she has to learn that lesson, but all the other characters are great with their own style and color theme. But now with Inside Out 2, how do they do the characters? Well, I can confidently say that they did great with the characters here. Let's get started off with the one that stands out the most to me, and that's Anxiety. She is probably the best Pixar antagonist ever in my opinion. She's not really a villain because her motives are still very very good because all she really wants is just a better future for Riley. But how she tries to get there to make Riley have a better future is leading to a lot of bad choices and sacrifices that Anxiety is making Riley do. Also, this movie does a great job visualizing anxiety. I sometimes struggle with anxiety. It's not a huge problem with me, but the different parts of like picturing scenarios that would happen is just so clever and I loved it. Also, they do a great job of showing the good in anxiety, but also showing that there's a lot of bad to anxiety as well, while also showing that there's a purpose to her, which just makes her feel necessary and makes her character feel complex. I loved that. And I loved how they did that throughout the movie. When I was watching this, it made me very much fascinated with Anxiety's character because she's doing all these bad things to Riley, but she's doing it for a good manner, which makes her complex, and I love that. All of our new emotions like envy, I loved envy so much in this movie. Ennui, which I wish she did a little more in the movie, but she was still very, very good in the film. Embarrassment is a huge standout for me. I loved him, and I like how he didn't talk in the movie pretty much at all. And then our original five emotions. Joy, I still love her character a whole lot. I mean, yeah, there's that one scene where she snaps, and there are some emotional beats with her character that actually did get me. Again, that one line that she said that almost made me cry, but the other characters have been reduced to just comic reliefs, but are still great in the film as well, like fear, disgust, and anger. I love seeing their dynamic with Joy this time, and sadness. I like how she went off on her old adventure, which she actually interacts with a lot of the new characters a lot more, which I kind of wish we got more of that. There's more characters as well, like the mine workers, who don't really do much in the movie other than just chase our characters down. Nostalgia, who is just a running gag in the movie, which I actually think she may be a villain in the third movie. We then have Bluffy, Lance, and Deep Dark Secret, who all help our characters get out of the vault. Also, I want to mention the voice acting in this movie. Holy crap. The voice acting is phenomenal in this movie. Ayo Ebibiri, I hope I'm saying that correctly. She does a great job as Envy and just looks like she's having the time of her life. Anxiety, played by Maya Hawke. Love Maya Hawke and Stranger Things. She is great in this movie as well. And she perfectly has that frantic energy but like that also anxious energy of anxiety and perfectly captures that emotion. Paul Walter Hauser, as well as Embarrassment, does a great job, and everyone else just does a phenomenal job with their acting. Like they legit looks like they're having a blast with this movie, and it seems like they really care. And especially the two recasted emotions, fear and disgust, Liza Lapira and Tony Hale replace Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling. They do a great job in the movie, and they feel like great replacements. Even if you can hear a tiny slight difference of their voices, it doesn't really matter because their performances are just so good. So yeah, overall, the characters here, old and new, are both fantastic. Anxiety is a huge standout, while the rest of the characters are all still amazing too. And all the new characters, like the 2D animated ones, the pixelated ones, and just everything they do with these characters is just great as well. I believe that when you're going to walk out of this movie, every character is at least going to make you feel happy at the very end. Man, I can't believe it. I can't believe after months of talking about this movie with you guys, my audience not only grew, because when I started talking about this movie, I got from 57 subscribers to over 2,000 subscribers, but also it just felt so good that I was finally able to watch Inside Out 2. And did it live up to the long wait that I had to wait almost 2 years? Absolutely. Inside Out 2 is a phenomenal sequel that isn't as good as the first movie, but gets super, super close. The animation is still stunning as ever. The story, while maybe similar to the first movie, still has those two contrasting stories that are great when they bind together, and every new and old character is both memorable, hilarious, and will make you feel happy to the very end. I will say, please go watch this movie. It's doing exceptionally phenomenal at the box office right now, and I think that you guys and people, even if you haven't seen the first movie, you can actually still watch this and it'll still feel pretty standalone. You really don't have to watch the first movie in order to watch this. Maybe you won't have some of the nuance, but for the most part, you can still watch this sequel without watching the first one. After talking about this movie for almost 8 months now, it's just crazy to me that now the journey and pretty much the hype for Inside Out 2 is over, but I think that it came to a very good end. So overall, I'm going to give Inside Out 2 a 10 out of 10 or 5 stars. Great sequel, amazing Pixar movie, and definitely one of their best movies since Soul. But what do you guys think about Inside Out 2? Let me know down below in the comment section. Please make sure to subscribe. See you guys all next time, and I have a spoiler discussion coming Thursday, and I'll be there for that. Until then, see you guys all later.